Valera versus Gul'dan.
Your soul shall be mine.
Watch your back.
I like Swashbuckler, I like Backstab, I like Wisp. I can dig this hand so far. Is that better than Swashbuckler? Probably.
I can't do that.
You're not that sharp. Extraordinary. Why do you call?
Alright, cool. So the dagger lets me deal with that. Get to keep my Wisp alive. Could have gone Swashbuckler and used Patches instead, or even the Backstab, but that's just mana inefficient. Pretty likely I'll be able to play my Swashbuckler next turn given the curve of my deck. Double Swashbuckler. Unfortunately, he appears to be Control Warlock, which means he's likely playing Defile. And Defile is pretty scary.
Here we go.
I'm gonna get the dagger hit in there. I got two completely unplayable Warlock cards, so it seems like I'll probably be able to dagger this turn. Also, he's Zoo, so that's interesting. Kinda wish I had that dagger. I really thought he was Control, which was a big reason that I used it. I guess seeing Voidwalker into tap and assuming it was Control was probably just a bad read. But double Backstab SI is super strong here. I guess I should trade off Wisp instead of a second Pirate just to threaten Captain, even though I don't play it. As much as I wanted to keep the Wisp around.
Trust the pirate's code. I'm in charge now.
Okay, he's the one with the Captain.
Give me a quest.
I think I'm just going face. Unfortunately, he's just gonna smack into my questing adventurer, but that protects my SI7 agent, I guess. The real unfortunate thing here is if he has Despicable Dreadlord. I don't think I can recover from that.
Pirate's code.
You are not the boss of me.
Man, he's got the Soulfire too. Oh, it's a Glacial Shard. Okay, I'm just gonna Shadow Flame this. Hell yeah, let's go. Never thought that Shadow Flame would be useful. So we're getting pretty close to just being on an Eviscerate draw to win this game. And who knows, maybe if we start getting beat up. Okay, we just killed him. I was gonna say, maybe if we start getting beat up, we can just kind of stall, and then we can use Doom on turn 10 to draw into Eviscerate. But it looks like he just died.
Valera versus Valera.
Watch your back. I always do.
Man, the average cost of my hand is 2. That's way too expensive. Well, my hand really sucks. But maybe he has a bad opener, I can get down an uncontested questing adventurer, and then start playing stuff into it. The classic patches versus no patches matchup. I think I'm gonna save this penguin to buff my questing adventurer next turn.
Truth is found in
Oh wow, there's actually a pretty reasonable chance that this questing adventurer doesn't die here.
Here we go.
I guess just Southsea Cat. No, we already pulled patches. So it needs to be like Backstab.
This is our time, scrub.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty good Swashbuckler card. Oh my god, that's so good. So do I want to get 2 buffs on my questing or make it Defias? I mean, if he couldn't kill the 3/3 last turn, he probably can't kill the 5/3 this turn. This just gets more power on the board, plus I can charge the South Sea deckhand with my dagger. No, not coin Vilespine. Oh, coin Assassinate. Okay, that's quite a bit less bad for me. Oh, the second questing adventure. I think he's in trouble. I think these questing adventurers are gonna get him. Unless he has Snowflipper Penguin Vilespine Slayer here. Chain Gang, okay. Not a big deal. So we're definitely doing this. And then I guess the trades we make don't really matter here too much. Well, I guess I can do the 3/4 instead of the 2/1. I mean, he can't really punish a wide board, can he? Let's do this.
Quest accepted.
Here we go.
I don't know what he could possibly do. Yeah. Okay, questing adventure was a good inclusion.
Valera versus Valera.
Watch your back. I always do.
Okay, definitely keep the Bladed Cultist because there are a lot of cards that activate it right on turn 1. Didn't pick up any of them, but I guess we can play it on turn 2 with the South Sea deckhand maybe? Or maybe the Hallucination, hold the deckhand for charge. I actually have a really slow hand. I could play Deckhand Cultist here. If I do that and go face, he just double value trades into my 1/1s, and then I'm in kind of an awkward spot. Could just dagger and kill one of these. And then what, on turn 3, I can play all these 1-drops. The South Sea Deckhand will have charge, which is pretty good, I guess. Then I still ended up with these stranded 3-drops. And I feel like this is such a slow play given how fast my deck is. Maybe I can be greedy and sneak this 2 damage in. I'm just not sure if I can win the game playing this slowly. But I don't feel like I had a better, more aggressive play. Well, let's see what I can grab here. Oh, second Bladed Cultist. That's probably the take here, actually. The 2/3s just contest that 2/2 really well. I kind of had to dagger there, which means if I want to go South Sea Deckhand SI7 agent next turn, my deckhand won't have charge. But the 2 damage out of the SI7 agent should be worthwhile.
So many options.
Trust the pirate's code. I'm in charge now.
The captain there is a real bummer. But I can still make a pretty high tempo play to recover. I think Deckhand is better than Cold Blood. Even though Cold Blood would have let me trade this into the captain, I think this is just a better board state for me overall. Well, I can use my dagger here to even out the board state, but I'm not really doing a whole lot to pull ahead. Can make a 4/4 Edwin to go with it. I guess that's the play. Could combo the SI7 agent instead, but I think this is just better. The dagger's already such a clean kill on the South Sea Captain, and it's not like I have a better way to use the 2 mana. That was probably the best draw in my deck.
This guy's
Lets me clear his board and have a pretty sizable board of my own.
Need something unusual?
Well. Wait, is this card in his deck on purpose? No, he created it with Swashbuckler. I'm definitely playing the Cold Blood here and smacking him in the face. It's just a matter of who do I want to play the Cold Blood on. Edwin is already my biggest guy, and he's vulnerable to an SI7 agent, so probably not him. My SI could be like Backstab Daggered.
So many options.
My Crab is probably the most secure to put it on, but the Crab is already the best thing for him to smack his guy into. We'll put it on the Crab, I guess. And we're just trying to push face damage. I mean, if I had put it on the SI7 agent and he tried to backstab dagger it, he would probably just die. I don't know, maybe playing it on the SI7 agent made a little bit more sense. Okay, that was a pretty bad way to combo the Vilespine Slayer. But I'm not exactly in a great position here. Definitely just pushing all face, though. I'm on an Eviscerate draw to win the game, assuming I can actually combo it. And it might just not be that easy for him to deal with this board. That is an issue. He's trading off here. Wow, he's actually still showing 21 damage next turn. Yeah, so I'm actually just dead. Well, that really sucks.
So many options.
I think I was actually in a pretty reasonable position against even Bone Mare, but Lich King I just can't beat.
I give up.
It's a bummer.
Valera versus Gul'dan.
Your soul shall be mine.
Watch your back.
Alright, Snowflipper Coin Defias, that's a turn 1.
I greet you.
Alright, let's play out a bunch of stuff. Alright, let's just go for the classic Defile is not a card.
Trust the pirate's code. I'm in charge now.
It's actually Zoo, despite that opener. Okay, this game is over as fuck. So he's gonna eat 11 damage here, and I have a Leroy in hand. And we're gonna hold this Penguin to kill a taunt if he happens to play one next turn. Kill a taunt comboed with the Vilespine Slayer, obviously.
Unleash me.
And we Leroy him. Easy turn 5 lethal.
Valera versus Malfurion. I must protect the wild.
Watch your back.
Well, we found Edwin. Definitely the best card in the deck. The rest of the hand was pretty bad, though. Come on, where are my Snowflippers? Oh my god, he's aggro. Okay, there's a Wisp. I could play a 6/6 Edwin next turn, or I could just try to put out a lot of stats here. I think putting out a lot of stats here is probably better. One big Edwin doesn't really do a whole lot when he's playing a bunch of small stuff. It's pretty good against like Crypt Lord and the 1/5 though. This Mark of the Wild was a really good pickup if he tries to play Druid of the Swarm. Okay. Hero Power was a surprisingly good response from the opponent. But my Hero Power is also a pretty good response. I'm ahead on board and my next turn can be Deckhand plus Defias Ringleader with a dagger already in play. Man, 2 Hero Powers in a row from Aggro Druid. Or maybe he's not aggro, maybe he's just one of those crazy people that plays Enchanted Raven in Jade Druid. This guy is hero powered a lot. Or should I say, my superior deck building has forced him to hero power a lot. Alright, let's make that guy big enough to kill that.
Here we go.
And then we can still end the turn with a bunch of dudes on the board. None of them are particularly vulnerable to like AoE or anything because he's apparently an aggro list. And we can hold on to this Penguin to combo the Vilespine Slayer next turn. So I can push 9 damage here. Probably just want to spam the board and make an Edwin. I don't really want to give him any mana back. If I waste my time killing Treants, then next turn he has 2 mana, 3 mana, whatever. This way the only relevant card he can have is Mark of the Lotus. And it would be kind of a bummer if he had exactly Mark of the Lotus. But he wouldn't be able to full clear, maybe I'd still be able to just get there with damage. So I've only got 5 damage. But he has no board. I get to play a lot of stuff here. And if he tries to hide behind a Crypt Lord or something, I can usually combo this Vilespine Slayer next turn to kill it. Or even if he just completely demolishes me on board here, I should still have a couple turns to draw into Eviscerate. Yeah, so this should be lethal. Backstab that one, hit there. And then Snowflipper lethal. After part 1, I decided that the Menagerie package with the 2 Zubats, the Fairy Dragon, and the 2 Rockpool Hunters was kinda weak. Because I was playing, you know, Bloodfin Raptor and River Crocolisk and 3 mana 3/3. When the synergy landed it was strong, but the synergy didn't land very often because there just weren't really enough cards to fill out the package. So I ended up cutting that. I got 2 Defias Ringleaders in here. It's a really good card to combo with Snowflipper Penguin. There's a Wisp now to double down on the Snowflipperiness. And I've got 2 Questing Adventurers. And Questing Adventurer actually turned out to be pretty good. They spend the first couple turns dealing with all your garbage, like the Defias Ringleader and all the 1-drops and stuff, and then you just play Questing Adventure and they can't deal with it, and it kills them. Also, similarly to Zubat, you can play your 3-drop and a 0 mana 1/1 in the same turn and get some benefit out of it, but then this guy immediately demands an answer, and if they can't answer it, they're just going to lose the game. So Questing Adventure turned out to be pretty good. I think it might even be right to just go even harder on the Questing Adventure. I ended up cutting Counterfeit Coin and Shadow Step from the list to make room for the Wisps. But maybe you just also play a couple Counterfeit Coins in this deck and then you have 8 0 mana cards to activate combos and buff your Questing Adventurer. I actually had slightly worse stats with the second version of the deck. I think it went 5 and 7, whereas the Zubat version went 8 and 7. but it's a low enough sample size that I'm willing to just chalk it up to variance. I think the Questing Adventurer version is probably better than the first version. A couple other cards to consider for the list would be like Direwolf Alpha. Direwolf Alpha is another pretty solid 2-drop. You tend to have a lot of things on the board, and this guy can help you trade or just push a lot of damage. I'm not playing him because it just seemed kind of hard to find the room. I feel like a lot of the cards in this list are pretty important, but if you can make room for another card, maybe Direwolf Alpha is pretty good. Someone also suggested Cult Master. The deck does tend to run out of cards, since the average mana cost of the deck is like 2, so you tend to play out your hand pretty fast, and Cult Master could help you reload. I didn't try it, but it's a reasonable consideration. I tend to want to be hitting people in the face instead of trading though, so I'm not entirely sure how good it would be. So the deck wins games by just vomiting a bunch of stuff on the board in the early turns and then killing the opponent because they can't deal with it. So you tend to do well against other mid-rangey decks that are also trying to fight for the board but do it slower than you. I did surprisingly well against Zoo and Tempo Rogue. But if you ever queue into like Highlander Priest, or I would assume like Control Warlock, they're just gonna play Spirit Lash or Defile or something and you're just gonna die. If you get your board cleared once, it's pretty much over. But even in those matchups, sometimes you can just make a giant Edwin or a giant Questing Adventurer, and then a card like Defile isn't necessarily going to lose the game for you, but I feel like you are pretty unfavored against those decks. Something else to consider is that maybe this is just worse than Aggro Druid. Aggro Druid can also play Snowflipper Penguin, but they have the Beast synergy with Mark of Yasharaj, they have Mark of the Lotus to really take advantage of having all the garbage on the board, and we don't really take advantage of having a wide board, other than just using the wide board to punch the opponent in the face. But we don't have Savage Roar, we don't have Bloodlust, we don't have any of that kind of stuff. So maybe it's just a weaker strategy than playing Aggro Druid or Token Shaman or something like that. But Rogue is the only class that has access to more aggressive Zombie Chow and 1 mana deal 4 damage. So maybe that's enough merit to playing this over a Mark of the Lotus or Bloodlust deck. Overall, the deck felt a little weak, but not as weak as I was expecting, and I got to play 2 copies of Snowflipper Penguin, so hey, I'll take it.